This is Danny Gathone for ESBR Boxing. In Manchester, we've just had the open workout for Lee Wood versus Mauricio Lara. Should say Mauricio Lara versus Lee Wood too. Pleasure to be joined by Matchroom's Frank Smith. Frank, first of all, I just want to ask, have you ever heard the sound anything close to the way Mauricio Lara hits the pads in there? The crack of them is unbelievable.
No, to be honest, I wouldn't like to get hit by Mauricio Lara, if I'm honest. I'm about double his weight, but you can see, but it's no surprise as well. We've seen it in so many fights now. And look, respect to Lee Wood for getting straight back in there, because a lot of fighters wouldn't have taken that challenge straight off the bat.
Was there ever any doubt that Lee would step back in there? I know there was chat that maybe Lara facing Josh Warrington again. It's a relatively short turnaround after such a heavy knockout.
Yeah, look, there was a lot of discussions, hence why it took a bit of time to get that news out. People had different views about what Lee should do next, but I think the key came down to what Lee wanted to do, and he wanted to get straight back in there and avenge that defeat. And like I say, respect to him, because after the way that fight went, a lot of fighters wouldn't have wanted to get straight back in the ring. But I think it's good in some ways, because it's what the sport's about. Back in the day we used to see the best fighting the best time and time again, and regularly as well. And recently we've seen a decline in the amount of world title fights they play. The defence is you're probably fighting twice a year as a world champion. So it's good to keep the belts active. That fight was only 3 months ago. So good to get back up and running quickly.
It almost feels stupid talking about the future when you've got a fight where anything could happen, but you think it's a case the winner of this on Saturday night will jump into a fight with Josh Warrington?
Yeah, look, I think that's a natural fight. If Lee Wood wins, it's a huge all-British fight, and if Mauricio Lara wins, we know there's a spite there. We have had 2 fights already. We had the altercation at the Wood-Lara first fight. So look, there's a lot of selling points there. But let's see. They've got to be completely focused on Saturday night, because it's in no way a foregone conclusion on either way.
Just quick word in the co-main. Jack Catterall finally back in the ring after the controversial loss to Josh Taylor. It was that last February. Could have got away with taking an easier fight than Dara Fola. We saw he sprung an upset in the road a few months ago. All it was against Robbie Davis Jr. Not a gimme for Jack in that Saturday night.
No, not at all. It's not what he wanted. That Jack showed his class when he fought Josh Taylor. Arguably should have won that fight. The only people who didn't think he won that fight were the judges. The rest of the world think he did win it. He deserved the win on that night. It's a shame, because that changes a fighter's career. He hasn't boxed for nearly 450 days, I think it was. He didn't box for 300 days before that. He didn't box in 2021 due to COVID. So the key is for us now is to keep him active. He didn't want to walk in the park fight. That's not the level he's at. Dara Fola, we saw what he did against Robbie Davis. Unfortunate injury to Robbie, but we saw the glimpses of from the fight as well. There was not the way we wanted it to end, obviously, but the other key as well, he's been active. He had that fight just 2 months ago. He stayed in the gym, stayed training, and obviously we've seen it with fighters before. That ring rust of not fighting. It's going to be interesting to see. But I believe Jack Catterall's a class above the rest, and I think we're going to see a great win on Saturday.
Regis Prograis Matchroom debut just announced. Think that's a natural fight to make should they both come through these next 2 fights?
Yeah, for sure. That's what's exciting for us. You got Regis Prograis. We're obviously in discussions as well before with Matthias as well about potentially signing there. You got Devin Haney, just won against Lomachenko. Does he move up to 140 now? He's a free agent as well. Love to work with him. So there's some exciting fights at 140 to be made, for sure.
Just on Devin Haney, I think there was rumours circulating that he had at the last minute signed a 2-fight extension with Top Rank, but then I seen on Twitter there he had a bit to say about Bob Arum, who had obviously told Lomachenko he thought he had won the fight. Do you think there is a chance we could see Devin potentially re-sign with Matchroom? I know you worked with him for a long time.
Yeah, look, we've got a great relationship with Devin. We, as I'm sure every other promoter out there, would love to do a deal with Devin Haney. So for sure it's something we'll be looking at. We speak to him often, always got on with him even after. He made a big move to go and become undisputed champion, and he delivered upon it. And he had to make that move in order to get those fights. So look, massive respect to Devin for what he's done. Would love to work with him still. He's a young guy, he's still got so much left to offer the sport as well.
Just another thing I want to ask you about, Frank. Obviously this rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith, we saw it was delayed by a couple of weeks. Boxer re-announced it, but there have been rumours that the fight might not be happening. I know you're a de facto member of Team Eubank. Is there any information you can tell us? What do you know about that fight?
Yeah, look, from what I'm hearing, the fight's been delayed, so it's not going to be on July 1st. It's a shame, because it's a great fight. The first fight, obviously ended the way it ended. Look, it's a great fight. Let's see what happens. But as far as I'm aware, it's not happening on July 1st. But there's a lot of other fights out there. there's a lot of exciting fights to be made in that sort of realm of fighters. You know, you've obviously got Eubank, you've got Liam Smith, you've got Conor Benn, you've got Kell Brook. You know, so many good fights to be made. So let's see, it's going to be an exciting time around those divisions.
Just on Conor Benn, any idea on a time scale of when we could see this UCAD situation resolved? And it was suspended there maybe 6 weeks ago. What's the latest with it?
Look, they're working through a lot of legal stuff. A lot of things going on in the background. They are working through it. As soon as we got news, hopefully we'll have some news soon. But that's it's all moving. So, but no exact time frame just yet.
Frank Smith, appreciate the time. I'm sure we'll be pestering you some other point through the week. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Frank.